Hello and welcome to another episode in the GDScript Fundamental Tutorial Series. In this episode, we will be taking a look at threads. So what exactly is a thread? Well, the word thread is short for thread of execution. Basically, it is a way for a program to divide itself into two or more simultaneously running tasks. Now, threads is a form of concurrent processing, often referred to as multitasking. Concurrency is when the execution of multiple tasks is interleaved. Basically, instead of each task being executed sequentially, it is instead run concurrently. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that threads are used to balance processing power across CPUs and cores. Basically, when you run a thread, you're running it inside the CPU. And how many tasks can run concurrently is based on the amount of cores your CPU has. Now, a unit of execution is called a process. You can have multiple processes running simultaneously when using threads. Threads have something called a priority. Basically, if your computer is lacking resources to run all your processes, the program, or rather the operating system, will run the most important threads. And when resources free up, it will go ahead and run your processes that have a lower priority assigned to them. Now, this is an example of what a sequential process would look like in a thread. Most of the time when programming in Godot, you will be using only a single thread, and that is your main thread. Now, as you can see here, your main thread has priority 1, basically high importance, and these are your tasks. Basically, you can think of these as your function calls inside of your classes. Now, this is what a sequential process looks like in a single thread. Basically, you run one task at a time. Now, a single thread is called a processing unit. So in this case, you are using one processing unit. However, threads run side by side, almost concurrently. As you can see, you can have multiple threads. In this case, we have 3 threads, and each thread has a different priority. Now, each thread is one processing unit. You can call multiple threads with similar priorities. In this case, we have 3 threads, all assigned a high priority. In this case, priority 1. However, let's move on with the example of 3 threads with 3 different priorities. 1 being the highest and 3 being the lowest. Now let's say your CPU only has the resources to run one priority from your application. Well, the CPU will go ahead and run the thread with the highest priority. It won't even start the other 2 until resources are freed up. Now let's say your CPU can only handle running 2 processes. Then it will go ahead and find your 2 threads with the highest priorities. In this case, 1 and 2 are higher than 3, but since you can only run 2, we will go ahead and run your threads with priority 1 and priority 2. And priority 3 will just have to wait until resources free up. In your game, your priorities may look like this. Obviously, your priority 1 would be your main game loop. You want to run this at all costs. This is the most important thread. Now, priority 2 could be something like math-intensive calculations. For example, you may need to calculate something in terms of distance or in terms of generating objects 100 meters away from your main character. Even though this is important, it's not a priority. And lastly, your third priority could be something like non-important network calls. This isn't multiplayer, but rather, let's say you're playing a game and every 10 seconds, for some reason, you want to make a network call to a server to grab your high scores. Maybe it's a popular game, and when your character, or rather when the player's character dies, you want to show them the highest worldwide scores. Well, you don't want to block your main game loop just calling network calls to grab something as simple as a high score. So you would assign that a lower priority. It's important to your game, or at least to you, it's important to the way your game is handling user interface, such as displaying a score when the player dies. However, if you have to wait an extra 5 seconds after the player dies, it's no big deal. Now, there are advantages to threads. Obviously, the first one is it provides concurrency. lastly, you can run multiple tasks simultaneously. Now, because you can run multiple tasks simultaneously, this by itself improves your game performance through throughput, computational speed, and responsiveness. And lastly, it does reduce complexity of your applications. Now, thread declarations in different languages are different, but they follow similar processes. The first is to declare a thread, then you need to start your thread, and then you need to exit the thread. How exactly do you go about using threads in GDScript? Well, first, you need to declare a thread. In this case, we use the new method on the global class thread and assign that to a variable. Then we can go ahead and start the thread. When you use the start method from your thread object instantiation, it takes in 4 parameters. The first is the object instance. Most of the time this will be self because you want to use it in the class you plan on doing your thread computations. So again, in this case, you will use the self keyword, followed by the second parameter takes in a string method. It's the method name in string format of the object instance. The third is a value. Variant is just a way to say value. Now you must provide a value. Last parameter is a priority, basically your thread priority. Now the new method is self-explanatory. All it does is it assigns a new instantiation of the thread class to a variable. The variable holds the thread object ID. The heart of a thread is the start method. It takes in, again, 4 parameters, 4 arguments. Now 1 and 2, the first 2 parameters, the first 2 arguments are self-explanatory. Object instance, most likely the self keyword in many cases, and the string method, or a method in string format that's inside your current class. However, I want to look into the variant. This is important. The third argument is important because you need to put in a value. So first of all, user data passes the value to the argument of your string method. Your string method, or rather the method in your class that you use in the second argument of your start method, must accept a parameter. And the third argument in your start method must pass a value, and it must be no at minimum, or it will pass the no value at minimum. Now lastly is the priority. By default, we will be passing the normal priority. However, you can pass in 0, 1, or 2 to let the system know that your thread is either low, normal, or high. Lastly, you do have access to a wait to finish. Basically, this locks your main thread while you wait for another thread to finish. Basically, you join the thread and wait for it to finish. You return whatever the method called return that you declared in your start method. Basically, this is a wait and lock functionality that you can use in your current thread and wait for a value from another thread before moving on with your current thread. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that through code. One thing to keep in mind is that the thread class object inherits from the reference class. So basically, your thread object disposes itself from memory once the reference count is 0. So that's good news when using threads in GDScript. You do not have to worry about managing your thread in memory. That is done for you. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some code. So as you can see here, we are inside the timer script. Now we are extending from the timer class, and even though this isn't important except for when using a timer, the timer class script is attached to a timer node, which is in our scene tree. Out of scope for this video, but something I wanted to let you know. The most important thing is that we're using threads. So of course I went ahead and declared a global variable thread. Now all of this is done on the ready function. So we go ahead and we create a new thread using the new method from the global class thread. As you can see here, we're printing to the screen basically the ID of the thread, and we're also given this method called isActive. Basically this passes back, or rather it returns a boolean true or false. In this case, our thread is not active, so we are going to return false. So keep that in mind. Just because you created a new thread does not activate the thread. The thread is inactive. To activate a thread, you need to use the start method. In this case, it takes 4 arguments. The first argument is the class object. We use the self keyword. We call a method in string format. Basically, our current class has a function called start timer. Now our third argument needs to pass in a value. In this case, we're just passing no. We're not going to do anything with it. And lastly, we set a priority. In this case, we set it to 0. Now we're printing to screen start the thread, and we're checking to see if our thread is active. by calling isActive method, we will get back the value true. Basically, because we use the start method, our thread is now active. Now over here, we're going to get a value back from our function. In this case, we're going to get a value back from our start timer function. However, we don't want to execute the rest of the code because we're running two different threads. Remember, we're calling a thread for the start timer function. However, our timer script, because we're running in the ready function, is running on another thread. So technically, we have two threads running at the same time. One thread runs our ready function. Another thread is running the start timer function. So basically, if we want to wait for our second thread to finish, we have to use the wait to finish method. What this means is that as our function start timer runs in our second thread, our ready function, which is our first thread, we want our first thread to wait. Now you have to be careful about this because you are locking your current thread. In this example, our function timer is very simple. However, the more complex your thread is, the more time you have to wait. Therefore, the more time your current thread has to wait before it can continue running its own code. So what this is called is a lock. We're locking on line 16. We are waiting for thread 2 to finish and pass us back a value before thread 1 can continue running the code. So while we wait to finish, what we're doing in our start timer function, and take a look at this, our start timer function must accept a parameter because we passed in a value, the null value. We're basically printing that we're inside timer. These 3 lines of code, we're just basically setting up a timer. Timer is out of scope for this project, but the most important thing is when we're done, we're returning a value, 100. So when our thread finishes, we're going to go ahead and return 100, and we're going to pass that to our variable wait for thread. Once we've received that value, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue running our code. In this case, we print to the screen our value that's been returned, in this case 100. We're printing, this is my mistake, but we're printing again the value 100. So let me go ahead and delete that. And lastly, this is the one I want to point out, is the thread active. And because we finished our function, our thread is no longer needed, so our thread closes. So thread is active is false. That's all I have for you in this episode. I'm going to go ahead and upload this file to GitHub. Feel free to download it. Thank you for subscribing and thank you for clicking the like button. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have an amazing day.